Cambridge, or UCL. If you're new, my name's Francis. I've just finished a master's in developmental psychology and clinical practice at UCL. Before that, I did psychological and behavioural sciences undergrad at Cambridge. Judging by league tables, Cambridge dunks on UCL and pretty much any other uni in the country, ignore that, while UCL languishes in 9th position. But what if this isn't the full story? So perhaps to close this chapter of my life, I'm gonna compare UCL and Cambridge on the following categories. I'm gonna give a point per category, and then at the end we shall declare the winning institution. So the first category, and possibly one of the most important ones, is aesthetic, because there's nothing better than judging a book by its cover. Architecture-wise, UCL has the main building, which was designed by William Wilkins. He went on to design the National Gallery. He appears to be a one-trick pony. UCL also has the Student Centre, a modern architectural marvel from 2019. And that's basically it. Everything else is just brutalist and therefore butters. I feel like at UCL, the aesthetic of your Instagram feed would just be you in front of the main building and you in front of the main building again. Like UCL's branding essentially revolves around one building, whereas Cambridge, you've got King's College Chapel, Wren Library, you've got Downing Library, Emmanuel College Chapel, St. John's, Trinity, Pembroke, Corpus Christi. The list goes on. You can basically take a photo anywhere and it will be aesthetic, except Murray Edwards. In terms of general vibe, the centre of Cambridge is basically the university. The town is engulfed in Cambridge buildings in the middle. Lots of students around, bit of tourism in there as well, but I think you can have a tasteful amount of that. Whereas UCL doesn't have a vibe, it's just London with the UCL buildings kind of dotted around, but are dwarfed obviously by the city. So it's up to you what you think of the London vibe. I feel like as an introverted person who is also from the north, the London vibe is not my vibe, although you can have photos sat on the tube, and the Elizabeth line just opened as well. I know it's a bit of a stretch to say that is part of your UCL experience, but given the architecture, you want to get out of there as much as possible. So once you have done that, there are plenty of transport links that are quite aesthetic to take you away. But overall, I would say if you want to flex to compensate for your low self-esteem, Cambridge aesthetic takes the points. Next category is food. Whatever's offered at breakfast, lunch and dinner. Breakfast, dinner and tea. Cambridge halls I would describe as a step above a school canteen, but not that far. Obviously, you're eating in a beautiful setting of the college. And the showstopper of Cambridge food is obviously formals. I've got a formal dinner menu here. This is the 1584 dinner at Emmanuel College. Let me just take you through the menu. I believe it's the halfway hall, which marks the halfway point in your undergraduate degree. So halfway through second year, you'll have Mega Scran, which consists of carrot, terrine, tarragon mayonnaise, candied walnut as a starter. The starter is served with this wine here, which is a nice Côte du Rhône Blanc La Solitaire 2016. Poached place, pickled mussels, fish velouté and sea purslane. For main course, you have roast chump of lamb, lamb belly and pine nut pressé, pickled red cabbage puree, forestier potatoes, which is complemented nicely with Bourgogne Pinot Noir 2014. Some kind of intermediate course between main and dessert, which is chocolate orange slice, and then dessert. It seems to just say dessert. Not sure what's going on here. And then coffee and chocolates just to kind of cleanse your palate afterwards. I would say the food in these kinds of formals, the big dons, is very nice. But in my college, I can't speak for every college. I can't really speak for the unis, to be honest. I don't know. This video is a bit dumb, but the food at some formal dinners was actually food that was left over from hall. At UCL, on the other hand, I've eaten one sandwich from the canteen and it was all right, but it was extortionate. That's all I remember. And I think they also charge you 5p for a wooden fork. Quite disappointing. Can I recommend UCL food? No. But unlike Cambridge, you have the whole of London at your doorstep at UCL, which basically opens up any food of any category. Cambridge just can't compete with that. Even if it has its formal dinners, I'm gonna have to give UCL the point. Next up, how would I describe the culture of these unis? UCL has no sense of community. It's just all over London. Again, maybe that isn't a criticism of UCL as much as it is a testament to collegiate universities like Cambridge and Lancaster and Durham and some other place, which I'm starting at soon. My Cambridge-Oxford agenda is going to flip on its head very soon. You should subscribe for Oxford vlogs. In a collegiate system, you're living in a bubble of like 150 people. You know, cliques can form, which That's not really good, is it? At the end of each day, you're coming home and you sort of feel at home within your college. You feel emotionally attached to it. UCL, you leave the student centre to go back home after a long day of standing on the balcony looking at the BT Tower, and you just think that like there's not really a sense of belonging at UCL. I've painted a bit of a gloomy picture there. Like UCL, I joined quite a few fun societies, bit of nudgeathon, bit of mindfulness. Cambridge, mixed lacrosse in college. That's going to be my backup career if clinical psychology falls through. I think just because of the collegiate system and that sense of belonging, Cambridge is going to have to get the point. Next up, accommodation. Cambridge accommodates people in college for all 3 years at undergrad, I think. UCL is like most other unis where you're accommodated first year and then you're on your own in second year onwards to find your own living arrangements. This is in the London housing market, which if you've had any experience whatsoever with the London housing market, you'll know that you're absolutely academics. But the main selling point of Cambridge at undergrad is you have supervisions, little tutoring sessions. You'll be with perhaps 1 or 2 other students and with a supervisor to talk about an essay you've just written, essentially get grilled, which is really good for learning. At UCL, I never got any spoken feedback. It was all written. Cambridge has a great system in place for learning, and it's got a good staff to student ratio. And there are many incredible supervisors that I've had in my time. Others, you come out of a supervision feeling like you've not really gained anything, and you wonder whether as the student, because like the threshold is quite high to get into Cambridge, that the talent of students is what is propping up the reputation of the uni as opposed to the teaching of the academics. Whereas at UCL, I'd say the staff were much more consistent all round. Also, I think an important component of academia, which wasn't really emphasized to me at Cambridge, was trying to publish your research in an academic journal. UCL seemed to be much more driven about publishing things, whereas at Cambridge, it was all down to you to chase that yourself, which I hope to do one day, please. And then the final category, blood on hands. Can you sleep at night knowing that you've tacitly supported your university and its torrid past? So when we look up Cambridge, let's look up Cambridge on Twitter, for example. Cambridge colleges were involved with the East India Company, the Royal African Company. Oh dear. Cambridge was also one of the last universities to admit women. 1897, a vote on women getting degrees turns into riot at Cambridge University. UCL, on the other hand, founded in 1826, so avoiding those kind of dark ages, and the first university to admit students regardless of religion, first university to admit women on equal terms with men, inspired by Jezza B, Jeremy Bentham, whose body remains encased in some kind of wax auto icon in the student centre, UCL. Let's look up UCL on Twitter as well. Some horrific images here. UCL isn't squeaky clean. It has links to early eugenicists. But I think the fact that Cambridge also has this as well. For any moral issue UCL has faced, you'll find that Cambridge has done the same thing and probably more. As a UCL student, when you go to sleep at night in your £700 a month shed in Zone 4, you can sleep knowing that your university has largely been okay because it wasn't involved in the slave trade, and the bar's quite low, isn't it? In conclusion, we've got a draw. Probably shouldn't have picked an even number of categories. So given that this video has a clickbait title, there's only one way to resolve this. And there you have it. UCL is the better university. And now that you know UCL is the superior university, why not check out A Day in the Life there?